All right, jabronis, we're back. Another wild week going on in this country today. This week going on in this country today. That doesn't even make sense, dude. Another wild week in this country this week. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's so frantic, all the bullshit going on. We're losing focus, folks. America's losing focus on the important things happening around that we should be actually paying attention to. People think Joe Rogan's turning into a horseman. That's the talk of the town this week. One of the talks of the town. Super rich guy gets a top doctors to suggest some COVID treatment. Now he's a horseman. He's taking a horse dewormer. He's a problem. He's an idiot. Everyone's up in arms about Joe Rogan's medical treatment plan and what he's got going on in his life. So that's been nuts to listen to. Some people are actually mad that he got better. He got COVID and got better within 3 days. He was healthy, back up and running full speed. And people were mad about it because they wanted him to be unhealthy and be sick so they can give the old told you so. See? This is what happens when you take horse dewormer and you don't listen and you don't mask up and you're actually healthy. So that poor bastard's wearing it. I'm sure he doesn't care that much. He gets to sleep on a bed of millions of dollars every night with his hot wife. So I think he'll be okay getting the shit from the crowd. Meanwhile, you got everyone's favorite CDC doc Fauci, Tony Fauci, getting busted, not by the police, not yet anyway, but documents that came out in the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, FOIA, came out showing that Fauci and the CDC not only funded gain of function research, which you can argue is important research in general. That's not the discussion point, but not only that was it just in general, but they were specifically funding the exact research in the Wuhan lab that they are assessing to be the cause, the leak of COVID, the pandemic virus. And mum's the word on that. So that's the point of that topic piece that I'm bringing up, is not that this guy is funding anything at all, or what it's funding, or why, and the cause of COVID, and all that all the other tinfoil hat theories. It's the fact that he was busted lying on. He lied under oath, by the way. And mum is the word from the media and all the Fauci fuckboys out there. Sorry, Terrence, family show on the social media that have been siding with Team Fauci's. Everything he says is correct. He can't do no wrong. This guy is. He's the be-all, end-all of everything. Nothing heard from them. Fucking cicadas. You hear that. You barely even hear them buzzing around when it comes to this guy getting busted in a lie. They're so busy worrying about Joe Rogan and what that rich bastard is doing with his health and wellness. And then they're still flooding the market with vax mandates and vax guilt and mask shaming and all the other shit posting of the holier than thou posts that people put up there to make themselves feel better about themselves. I don't know what it is, but none of the real issues, none of the fact that the head of our CDC right now and the NIH just got busted in a blatant lie. That's okay because that's our guy. It's our guy. We'll defend him, or we'll sweep it under the rug. We'll shame you for not wearing a mask and not getting vaccinated because you're killing my grandma. And Joe Rogan's turning into a horse. Fuck him too. Chaos, guys. And we're completely forgetting the important things going on. We still got American citizens stuck and trapped in Afghanistan. The Taliban are hunting down anybody who ever helped the U.S. in the past 20 years. They're going house to house, killing them. This supposed legitimate government organization now going house to house killing people. That's done. That's a done deal. Nobody cares about that anymore because now it's about guilting the people to get their vaccinations, and that's how we're going to stop the spread. And I see it with everyone. This is what I don't get. And I don't know why I'm so heated already. Right off the bat, I'm heated. We're not even a minute into this damn thing. What I don't understand in general are the people, my friends, people I know, family, people I don't know, anybody in the ether that uses social media to shit post and guilt trip people and shame them for not doing exactly what you think they should be doing, regardless of whether it's a good cause or not, whether I believe it to be a good cause or not, or you believe, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. The tactic of making someone feel like a piece of shit for something that because they don't believe the same things you do is such a wild concept to me. And it's so prevalent. And I guess because it's so easy to just fire and forget on a Instagram story update or a Twitter post. It's a couple characters. You type it in, you send it, you're done, and you can move on. You move on to other thoughts that you're not stewing in that thought and thinking about what's going to happen next out of this. Again, the fire forget mentality. Maybe that's why it's so easy for people to just go ahead and do that. But I don't understand the logic behind it. What's the motivation? Do you think you're changing people's minds for the better? Do you feel that you're a better person than other people? So you have the obligation to show them that you're a better person and make them feel like shit? What is the actual motivation behind it? Do you just feel better by dogging on people and shitting on them in a serious way and not just joking with your friends and family, but in a serious way? Is that what it is? Do you feel better? And if that's the case, have you talked to anybody? Have you gotten help for that? You shouldn't be feeling good about yourselves when you dog on another human being. You make them feel like shit. That shouldn't make you feel good. Unless they're like an ISIS, Taliban member, Al-Qaeda guy, axis of evil type who's chopping off the heads of innocent people, stoning women, and maybe you get that dig in on them, and I could see you feel better about yourself there in that regard, maybe. But when you're just putting bullshit up, making people feel bad because they chose not to put a specific drug in their body, and they don't want to do it, they don't feel comfortable putting that in their system. Why is that a problem for you? And I don't want to hear the whole, well, it doesn't affect me. It's because they're not selfish and not thinking of others. That's such a bullshit excuse. Okay? Because you don't take that mindset with anything else in life right now. You don't take it with heroin, cigarettes. There's no mandate to ban smoking. Nobody's allowed to smoke anymore. Federal mandates, and if not, I'm going to guilt trip you. Yeah, there's campaigns for people to help you quit, and they do the little, what do they call that? The negative ads, the negative campaigning against smokers, and they show the effects is what happens when you smoke. You lose a lung, you lose a jaw, whatever it is. But there's no like rampant social media campaign going on by normal people, like regular people in your life, guilt tripping and shaming people to death about it. You're killing my grandma. How you piece of shit. You didn't stop smoking and now everybody's dead because of it. I mean, it's got to stop, people, regardless of what your beliefs are, one way or the other. It doesn't, and I'm not just talking about the COVID bullshit and hiding and simping over Fauci and Biden and any other politician that you don't want to admit is fucking up royally right now in the past 5 years, whatever. Just stop the shit posting. I know we're going to talk about it in the big three, but it's just got me so hot and bothered right off the bat. I see it so often with so many people, and all these people that I see it that I actually know personally are all dealing with other emotional shit right now. And you have to believe that has something to do with it. I mean, it's the same. Like, they all have that one thing in common. They're shit posting constantly, and they're also dealing with anxiety or depression or extreme amounts of stress. some sort of mental, emotional situation, a serious issue that they're working through. But I know there's no, correlation doesn't mean causation and all that other crap, but it's common enough to ask the question, do you really think this line of action in your social media world and this kind of like brain space and mindset that you've set for yourself in that world of negativity, do you really think that's helping? I mean, it can't be. It just seems such like a miserable way to live your life. Like, you get up, you go to work, and then you look for somebody to shit on and rag on for any excuse. That's tough. I feel bad for you. And I hope if there's anybody in my personal life that's doing that and you want to reach out and talk about it, I'll talk to you offline for sure all day and figure out a way and figure out why you're doing it, what it's giving you in your life, what kind of fulfillment it's actually providing, if any, or why maybe you can't stop, you're addicted to it. I don't know what it is, but I'm open to talk about it. And it's not, and I know, not many people I know are doing it personally, but it's just so rampant out there. It's everybody. Like it's everywhere you go, the walls and the profiles are flooded with this kind of attitude, this mentality of just negativity and chaos and division and focusing on the stupidest shit. Who gives a shit what fucking pills Joe Rogan, the super millionaire, is taking? I mean, holy crap. The guy could do whatever he wants with his body and his health and wellness. Just like people are arguing now with the abortion stuff because Texas comes out with this new abortion law that sounds kind of ridiculous. I didn't look into it because it doesn't affect me very much, honestly. But why do you pick and choose when you get to control your own body, or my body, my choice? But when it comes to this treatment for COVID and this and that, then you're an idiot if you don't do it this way. Like the hypocrisy, that's what I'm getting at, is the hypocrisy behind it all. I'm not whether or not you believe in abortion. That's a separate subject altogether. I'm not touching that with a stick right now. And I don't care about your choices for treatment or prevention of COVID. Whatever you want to do for yourself that's going to get you better and keep those around you healthy and safe, go for it. All the power to you. But these people that are getting like personally hurt and emotionally charged up about fucking Joe Rogan and what he took. Oh, he took horse dewormer. What a piece of shit. I hope he gets sick from it. Like, how is what why is what he is doing with his life affecting you so much? What is going on in your lives that you have to post about it? You have to be up in arms about it because somebody in the bullshit news media told you to be up in arms? Have you talked to the guy? Asked him about why? Dug into his life or anything? No, because we don't know anything about this dude other than from what he puts out in his podcast and in his comedy. We know nothing else. He's a stranger. And him putting in this medication and the IV and everything else didn't affect me one single bit. Nothing that he did affected my life whatsoever. So I don't understand why people are getting so up in arms about it to the point where they have to like wish death and sickness upon a complete stranger. For what? Are you so like ingrained in you're anchored into your belief of this one way only of treating a disease? This is the way, a mask and distance and lockdowns, and don't fucking look at me. And that's the only way. There's no other way to treat this. And the vaccine that we only had for less than a year. That's it. Those are the only ways. If you do anything else, and you're a monster, and I hope you suffer for it. That's what it seems like with these people reacting. And I guess they win because now I'm reacting to them reacting. I guess they got what they wanted. They got the reaction. Not from the important people like Joe Rogan's, but from idiots like me who just can't wrap my stupid pea brain around this concept of being shitty to other people that you've never even met before on the internet for no apparent reason. Just to be like, yeah, I took the jab. I showed that person. I got him. I don't fucking get it. I don't understand it. Anyway, let's talk about something better. Let's change the subject. Let's get on the right path to success and happiness here, folks, because I don't want to bitch and moan too much. This is not the week for bitching and moaning. It should never really be. There should be no week for bitching and moaning. We should try to figure out ways to get through that stuff in better fashion, more positive fashion. We got to work towards that. We got to get that in our mentality. So let's start that by talking about something positive and stepping into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Mother's Muscle Milk for CrossFitters. You ever get done with a long, arduous CrossFit workout, and the only thing you can think about after is getting the best, most optimal nutrients jammed into your system to get you pumped up and ready to gangbang the next day's WOD? Well, with Mother's Muscle Milk, you can worry no more. By calling the Mother's Muscle Milk hotline, they'll send you a custom, very own lactating mother right to your CrossFit box. So all you have to do after your last snatch rep is pop in the protein powder packet right into your mouth, then latch right onto the Muscle Milk Mammary for your instant protein nutrient fix. So to schedule your daily dose of muscle memory madness today, call 1-800-NIP-DRIP and use the promo code SICKFUCK for 2.9% off your first scheduled Mammary Milk, Muscle Milk Mammary. How you doing? And that's that, folks. Be here all night. There's a joke behind that. There's a reference behind that. That really happened for a while almost, where the CrossFitters were getting addicted to breast milk and they were ordering it online, trying to find on Craigslist women who were willing to sell their breast milk because some jerk off at the CrossFit cult told them it was good for them. And then after they all had sex with each other and did shitty versions of workouts, they all decided to hit Craigslist for casual encounters with breastfeeders. Anyway, the cage fact. This was an interesting one for me because it got me to dig further into the National Treasure saga, if you will. And I'm still waiting for number 3 to come out. But anyway, during the filming of the first National Treasure, which is a cage classic, there's a 2-parter right now, hopefully a third, maybe, who knows. But the first one, Nick Cage and his co-star, I'm gonna butcher her last name, Diane Kruger, I believe you pronounce her last name. She played the hot blonde broad in the movie. Can't say broad, whatever, lady. Sorry out there for all the cancel culture. What they would do after a lot of nights shooting or a lot of days shooting on set, they would actually go and do karaoke together. I don't know if they would get drunk and do it, but they did it a lot. And Cage came out in a couple interviews talking about it, and they said it really loosened them up, got them to relax a lot more. They built a better rapport and had a really good relationship when filming the movie. And he said it helped a lot. So that was just a simple, interesting fact. Cage has been known to do karaoke. In fact, there's a video, I think, out there of him. I don't know if he was drunk. He probably was drunk. Good on him either way. But him out doing, singing Purple Rain in karaoke. He's no stranger to the microphone, if you will. So that's the Cage fact. A little interesting tidbits of information for you on that one. So moving on into the junction, spin the logo up. Now, real quick, this is, by the time this airs, this will be a Sunday, September 12th, I believe. Yep. So this weekend, Saturday, yesterday was the 20th anniversary of September 11th, the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, and then the fourth plane that went down in Pennsylvania. Last year, I did a whole episode talking about how it personally affected me in a different way, like the unique way on how it affected me, not so much like emotionally, but what came out of it from that affected me. And then obviously how it affected my career in the military and all that stuff. But we're not doing the whole Junction episode on 9/11 again. It's a serious time. I understand that. It's a big anniversary. 20 years ago it happened, and it changed things forever for everybody. And you all know from what I discussed in last year, how it affected me. I saw it live. I saw it from my high school. So I don't want to be over dramatic again and do all that stuff that they're doing on TV, with the music and the drama and the whole how you doing. I'm not going to do that, but I do want to make mention of it. That is the 20th anniversary, because we should not forget. We should always continuously talk about it and think about it to remember what led to that, the lack of foresight, the lack of intel sharing, the sloughing off of information, the total lack of preparedness that opened the door for things like that to happen. And that's what we got to remember, because we shouldn't have to have a major life-changing, life-altering, world-altering catastrophe like that occur before we get our shit together, before we come together as a country, as a world, whatever you want to call it, and get our shit together. It shouldn't have to happen like that. We should be able to do that on our own accord. And I mentioned that because, like I said in a previous episode, I am concerned that we continue to go down this path of division and chaos and teams within our own country, and we're losing sight of what's important. And given the absolute circus act of an exit from Afghanistan this past month, and what an utter failure that was, I don't care what anybody wants to say, what all the apologists want to say of, we got so many people out, we did this and we did that. The military picked up the slack for a dog shit plan, an absolute no plan, and a shitty way ahead for that. The whole thing was garbage. The only reason why we got so many people out is because the military knows how to pick up the fucking slack. Part of my French, Terrence. But I want people to remember that. Things like this, things like 9/11 only happen when our guard is down. And we're starting to drop our guard again, because it's been 20 years. It's been so long. This hasn't happened in 20 years. It'll never happen again. That's how we got into that situation in the first place. And there was a guy, he's a congressman, Dan Crenshaw. He's a prior Navy SEAL, got blown up by an IED, improvised explosive device, and lost an eyeball. So he's the eye patch guy. I'm sure you've seen him, eye patch guy. He brought up a good point where if you look back at all the previous big time attacks on this country by Al-Qaeda and these terrorist quote unquote organizations, you have 9/11, you go back, you have the USS Cole, you have the embassy attacks prior to that. You have the 1993 World Trade Center attack by Al-Qaeda and Ramzi Youssef and the gang. All of these they all happened during quote unquote peacetime, which is what people are bragging about now. We're getting closer to peacetime. We're not at war anymore in Afghanistan. We're at peacetime now. Clearly, the bad guys don't see that. So we have to ensure we are staying vigilant and remembering the life-changing, life-altering disaster that was 9/11 and how it affected everybody, especially those who lost important people in their lives. We have to remember that and stay vigilant so that it doesn't repeat. It doesn't happen again. We shouldn't have to deal with loss and death and destruction to get our shit together. So remember that on the anniversary, the 20-year anniversary. Forget about horseman Joe Rogan. Forget about vax shaming and mass guilting and whatever for one fucking day to remember the tragedy and why it happened. and what you can do maybe to help, even if it's a tiny, tiny bit, help a little bit, try to mitigate and prevent that from happening again. You can find a way. I'll tell you what's not the way. Shitting on strangers for no reason at all. That's not helping. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. A sad anniversary. This is a tough one all the time. Especially tough this year because of this 20 years, and we just got out of a disastrous situation in Afghanistan where it affected a lot of people, a lot of prior military guys, a lot of current military guys in a lot of different ways. So think about that this weekend. Take some time to reflect on that. Always, we can never forget, because the second you forget and you get complacent, the shit happens again. And I know it's such an easy saying to throw away, so cliche, never forget, never forget. But that's as true a statement and as simple a directive as you can possibly get. Because the second you forget about what the hell happened that day, it's over. We're opening the door right back up to happen again. And I think a lot of people are losing sight of that these days over the past several years. It's a little concerning. So remember it. Never fucking forget. Now, a funny story. We gotta lighten the mood a little bit. So I want to tell you about this story that happened to me last week in my running training. Basically, the story ends with me throwing up in a grand fashion. Okay, so let's walk it back a little bit. Let's go back in time a little bit. Marty McFly style. Last week, I had to do a training run for my stupid race training that I signed up for because I'm an idiot and I'm a glutton for punishment. And it was a 13-mile training run. So for my longer runs like that, I like to do them around the National Mall, the monuments in DC, because there's a lot more people out there. It keeps my brain busy. I can carve out a long distance route around that area without it being like me running by myself alone in the walking path in the woods. And it's just it's mentally easier for me to get through that. Plus the National Mall is on the race route. So I like running parts of the real route to kind of prepare for that. So excuse me, I had a friend in town. She was an old coworker and a friend now. And she was in town. So we went out there. She was going to do her own run and then kind of do sightseeing around while I finished up my 13. So what I usually do is I try not to be an idiot, too much of an idiot when it comes to training. I'm not just getting up and running empty stomach like an idiot and, whatever. So I try to eat a little bit before. So I'll have a bowl of cereal because it gives me a little carb load. It's been working for me for years. So I'll have a bowl of Reese's Puffs that got the sugar I need, the carbs I need, and it fills my stomach up with actual food. Then I take a pregame shit, a little pre-runner, because you got to clear the mechanism, because that's like my nightmare situation essentially on a race, is if I have to go shit and I have nowhere to, like, I have to go shit. Like, you can't just go, like, if, you're taking a leak or taking a puke, you could just go fire it out and be done with it. But if you shit, you got to find a place to hunker down, crouch over, fire the shit out. Then you got to find something to wipe with. Like, you think I'm running? That is my nightmare. Running with shit pants and shit cheeks. No, thank you. Stab me. Just stab. I'd rather be a stab victim than do that. So I always take a pregame dump. Then I take some Pepto chewables with me, and I put them also in my runner's fanny pack, my tactical fanny for running, just in case I need it again. Because again, the nightmare of taking a shit. And I drink some water, I hydrate, and then I get out there. So we drive. So I get my pregame checks and balances done, and we're out there on the run. I bring some little gummy bears, as like a glucosey snack to replenish my stores while I'm halfway through the run or whatever. whatever. That is the general how you doing of what I do for longer runs. The shorter runs, I don't do any of that shit. But the long runs like that, 10 and over, that's what I do. Apparently, I didn't drink enough and I didn't eat enough because by mile 8, everything starts going downhill. And I don't know. I'll check my watch later to see if it's got the historical times per mile to where it starts deteriorating. I believe it was mile 8. I was in a brain fog, but everything started going downhill. My muscle, like my body felt dead for whatever reason. And it was weird because the week before I knocked out 10 miles, no problem. This one, don't know what happened. Mile 8, I was in shambles. I wasn't feeling sick though. It was very strange. I was dizzy, like I was dehydrated. My body was tired, like it was done. I was just shot to shit, weak, just instant beta status. Like it just turned the switch right off, and I went from wannabe alpha to instant beta bitch boy within 1 mile. 7 miles, 8th mile, done. Struggle bus. The entire rest of the time, what is that, 5 more miles? Let's do math here. Simple math here. 8 plus 5 is 13. Yeah, is that correct? Yep. So for the last 5 miles, I'm chugging water. I got these little electrolyte packets and I'm putting in some of the water. When I hit the water fountain, I'll put it in my bottle, shake it up and get some electrolytes because I'm thinking you can't just have water only. You got to get electrolytes. You got to get the sugars in you, all the nutrients, all the how you doing to keep going. And I know this in the past because I've done it in the past. That's how you do racing. So you do running. So I was doing that. I was like, okay, I got to be okay. I ate all the gummies. Don't understand what's going on. I'm still got to walk, a lot of walking breaks, a lot of stumbling around, refilling my water bottle, like changing my route because instead of what I normally do is like every 1.5 to 3 miles, I'll hit a stop because that's usually when the actual water and nutrient breaks are on the races. Is between 1.5 and 3 miles. So I try to plan those into my training so I know when it's time to walk and nutrient up, hydrate up, because that's what I'm going to need to do on race day. So you got to practice like you play, right? I was maybe going half a mile, 3/4 of a mile before I had to stop and replenish again and walk it off. And big time trouble. So I'm chugging water. We're finally getting down to the last mile. I'm able to run back to the car, to the parking lot where we parked. My friend has been waiting there for, I don't know, who knows how long. I think she was able to listen to an entire LPDS episode before I actually got back because she was done. She ran 5 miles, went sightseeing, saw a show, watched a podcast, and I still was struggling to get back. That's how bad I was doing. And this is not the first time this has happened on the 13-mile run. I don't know what it is, but that is my mental wall, essentially. The 13-mile training run is always my kryptonite because I had this issue happen to me when I was running in Texas one time where it took me like 3 hours to do. I almost died because I was an idiot then. This time I was less of an idiot and I still almost, lost my shit. Anyway, I finished. That was the goal. You just got to finish the damn run. Finished the goal. I accomplished it. And I immediately felt like I'm going to probably get sick here because I feel like shit. I know how that feeling is. Ask anybody. I'm an expert in throwing up after working, after training hard. I've been doing it since high school. In fact, I can pull the trigger, as they call it, or as I call it, on command now. I've been throwing up so frequently after working out hard or conditioning or whatever it is that I can do it if I wanted to right now. If I had a bucket and someone would bet me, I bet you can't do it right now, you would lose that bet. I would throw up on you to prove you wrong, collect my 200 hours or whatever it is. I can do it on command. It's a gift and a curse. Quick story. I'm in Daytona. This is rewind the clock back a little further in Daytona in college. And we go, it's a night out, a standard night out where we get ripped, stupid drunk. And now we find ourselves, We got our DD, took us to Walmart. I don't know why Walmart. Maybe everything else was closed. I don't know. Walmart was open. We were trying to get some snacks for back at the house. So they went in to get snacks, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and my other buddy is sitting in the back seat. Daniel B, a legend, absolute legend. And I start to feel like shit, and I tell him, like, hey man, I'm gonna pull the, like, I feel like shit. I gotta end this. I'm gonna pull the trigger. This fucking drunk thinks I'm talking about suicide. Like, I'm so drunk, I'm thinking about completely ending it all by offing myself. Crazy, right? Because I love myself way too much to ever even consider that. Anyway, he starts talking me off the ledge. Don't do it. I wouldn't do that, Sarge. Don't make that mistake. Don't do it, man. You're better than that. You're better than that. First, in my head, I'm like, I'm not better than this. I just need to feel better. I just need to feel good right now. So I'm going to go pull this trigger. I don't care what the hell this guy says. So then I pull the trigger. Now, I call it that, or people call it that, is because when if you did it the old school way, like the bulimics used to do, and you stick your finger down your throat like so, it looks like you got finger guns, finger pistols, and you're pulling the trigger. That was the euphemism. Pulling the trigger is like you got the handgun in your mouth to get it going. So once he saw that, he was, oh, you idiot. He goes, I thought you were going to kill yourself. I was like, what are you talking about? It wasn't until the next day I realized this guy legit thought I was going to commit suicide. And I had to talk him off the ledge, essentially, let him know that I was more than fine. I was just drunk and stupid. Anyway, fast forward back to after this terrible run. I'm in a situation now where I know it's only a matter of time where I'm going to have to either pull the trigger or just stand by and let it happen naturally, where I got to throw up, where I got to puke it up, because I have nothing but liquids in me. And that's not good. Your body can only handle so much liquid at one time before it's got to regurgitate some of it up. So here's where I made the rookie mistake, because I am a professional at dealing with throwing up. I made the mistake of thinking I could take the chance of driving home before I got to make that decision, whether it's pull the trigger or it's going to happen naturally. I'm thinking, look, I'm 10 miles away from the house. I think I can get back to the compound, to Site Alpha, the LPDS compound, in time. And then I'll pull the trigger out in my yard. No problemo. Done that before. We start driving out. Now, this 10 miles, because it's through DC proper, downtown Washington, DC, this 10 miles is a 35-minute drive. Now, if you think about post-hard workout situations where, like, your puke window, your puke window is 5 to 10 minutes within that hard workout. Most of the time for me, I was pulling the trigger mid-workout so that I can feel better to finish the workout. So the fact that I'm going to take this gamble with a 35-minute, how you doing? Rookie mistake. Now we're driving downtown DC. We get to a light. I'm in the left lane. Again, another rookie mistake. I'm in the fog of war here because all I'm thinking about is, can I make it back in time before I have to make a drastic decision? My friend's talking to me about God knows what. I'm not even listening to her. I felt bad because she's asking me questions. I'm just like, shut up. I'm not listening right now. I didn't say that to her, thankfully, but I was thinking it because all I wanted to do was pull the trigger or figure out the time when I needed to. So I'm in the fog of war here. I'm in the left lane. We're at a light. And that's when I finally was like, look, I feel like I told my friend, look, I feel like shit. I just want to let you know right now, I'm probably going to pull the trigger here or it's going to happen naturally. So I opened the door. I'm not going over the window. I'm not dropping the window down and going over that way because then I got to go whole head out the car and I'm going to risk the splash and the frag onto the side of my car, the door there. don't want to have that. I don't want any cleanup. That's the one thing. Another thing that I pride myself on when it comes to pulling the trigger is I do it at times and in locations that prevent cleanup. I just talked to you about my nightmare with taking a shit and shitting my pants and having to deal with the cleanup and the fallout of that. I don't want to deal with that with anything. So I usually plan ahead for that. This one, I was in the fog, but I adjusted fires. I reverted back to my training. Remember when I talked about after the WrestleMania trip, reverting back to your training, having the situational awareness? That's what happened. It kicked in. The muscle memory kicked in. All my time as a war-hardened veteran kicked in, of pulling the trigger veteran, and I opened the car door so that I can get low, below the threshold of the door, so that the throw up, the trigger pull was going directly on the ground outside. There was not going to be any splash or frag or anything like that. So I start. And I start hard. And it's mostly just like it's loud gagging. Like my buddy I was just talking to, he had a great way of expressing throwing up was I was calling for dinosaurs. The way it sounded, it was just like I was a turkey being shook. Like somebody grabbed the turkey and started shaking it, man, like an absolute idiot. But nothing was coming out. It was just like the priming the pump, essentially. And it starts coming out a little bit. Now, the issue I'm running into is the light turned green. So, again, the primary concern here is no mess. I'm not fucking up my car, especially on the inside. I have no bag, really, to do it in. I'm not going to throw up on my friend, obviously. We don't have time to switch seats so that I can puke while she drives. None of that. Light turns green. I close the door. I got the window open for the fresh air, and just in case, but I'm trying to avoid that, so I close the door and we're driving. And now, once you start the process, once you pull the trigger, it's on. That's where now I have no control over stopping it. You just got to let it play out. So I'm calling for dinosaurs while I'm driving. Here's let me see if I can paint this picture for you, because I wish I got so pissed after the fact. I wish I had a rich, hello, cool off, Libretti. I wish I was rich so I can hire a camera guy 24/7 almost to film what was going on, because I'm driving. I got my right hand on the wheel. My left hand is on the door handle to get ready to find a spot to pull over to open the door again. I got my knee is flipping the blinker so I can cut over 3 lanes of traffic in the middle of downtown DC to get over to the side of the road where I can actually take care of business. And I already pulled the trigger. The process has been commenced. The launch sequence has been activated. So I am heaving up in the car in my mouth. So it goes into my mouth, and I'm holding it in there with these chubby chipmunk squirrel cheeks like this. Like you can't see it in podcast land. You can only see it in YouTubeville. But I'm full of throw up, of regurgitated Gatorade and saliva and whatever the hell else my body was rejecting. It's all now in my mouth, slightly dripping out of my fat, stupid nose. And I'm driving. I'm holding the door. I'm flipping the blinker. I'm cutting people off to get off to the side of the road. Now, I maintain my composure. My friend is losing her shit at me. Let me drive. I'll hold the wheel. You're an idiot. Dude. This and that, like making fun of me. Like she should have been, but it was a scene. And I wish it was on camera, because I wish you could have seen my stupid fat face filled with puke and it coming out of my schnoz and me frantically trying to get over. And I finally get over to the side of the road to a point where I can open my door enough to finish the fight. And I'm talking finish the fight, because the gallons came out. Every Gatorade I've ever drank in the past month was out there on the ground. Every water, the milk I had in the morning, the Reese's Puffs, everything was out on the floor. All out on the table, gone. I must have lost 15 pounds of puke in that one shot. My friend is laughing her ass off. Meanwhile, by the way, I'm puking, and I put the emergency lights on, the blinkers, and I'm putting the car in park at the same time as my head is out the window, calling for the dinosaurs, shaking the turkey. Oh! Like I was getting waterboarded. Oh! It was absolute circus act. And man, if I had that video, I would post the shit out of it for you guys to laugh at me, because I was laughing at myself. I couldn't believe I got to this point in my life. I mean, think about everything I've been through in my life, and I'm now in a situation where I'm 30-something years old, 11 plus years into a career as a supposed adult who thinks he's eligible for people to date, and I'm sitting on the side of the road in downtown Washington, D.C., puking up my guts, throwing up Gatorade and Vile and shit like an absolute nincompoop. And it was an absolute scene. It was an incredible event. I rethought my entire existence after that event. And that's the first time in a while I had to do that after a throw-up session, because, like I said, during baseball and soccer and through high school and everything, I was throwing up after every workout. Every conditioning session, I was throwing up, whether on purpose or because I was out of shape. It didn't matter. I was doing it. It was just part of it. Was like you practice, you do conditioning, Libretti throws up, then you go home. That was how it was. So this particular instance was entertaining, to say the least. And that's that. Hopefully this coming weekend, by the time you listen to this, I'll have another run under my belt, and it'll be more successful and not as life questioning, if you will. Because let me tell you something, for the rest of the week, I was questioning what the hell I was doing in my life. Spending all my time by myself, alone, and just running to nowhere. Running away from my problems, from my inner bitch. I don't know what it is. I'm just running to nowhere for no reason, almost, it seems like sometimes. And what am I getting out of it? I'm getting embarrassing throw-up stories where I could have killed people because I'm an idiot. And that's that. So stay tuned. So maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll get better at it. And I'll let you know. I'll keep posting my stupid watch pics on the story. I'll keep making fun of myself from my personal Instagram page, which I think, by the way, enough people have hit me up about this that is making me concerned now. That they are hitting me up asking me legitimately, hey, who's running your personal Instagram page? Is that you? Were you hacked? Like, this guy is making fun of you. And it takes them a while to realize that it's me making fun of myself for no other reason than just to entertain myself, because that's what I do. I do stupid stuff that nobody understands that is funny to me, and that shit's funny to me. And it took a while for some of you people to realize it was just me making fun of myself. So thank you for that additional laugh, because I laughed at you for it. So I appreciate you just missing the mark on that one. And you don't have to get the jokes, but the fact that people actually thought that someone else was running my page, making fun of me, and it wasn't just me doing it like a lonely loser is funny to me. Anyway, that's all I got today. Before we go, the big three. Number one, exercise every day. For no other reason than the stupid stories you're going to get, like this throw-up story. Exercise every day. It'll help you physically, mentally, emotionally. Just ask anybody who actually does exercise on a daily basis. They'll tell you it helps tremendously. Number two, I bitched about it in the beginning. Don't be a shitty person. I'm not going to belabor it anymore. You know what I'm talking about. There are other people. Everybody else is a human being who used to be a child, who has parents, who had parents. Human beings, okay? That's what we're dealing with. So before you guilt trip someone and take get up on your moral high horse and all this other shit that's going on lately, especially on the internet, think about that before you do it. Find out really why are you doing that? And then just don't fucking do it. I know it's easier said than done. I know. It's the toughest one to follow. Number 2, don't be a shitty person. I get it. It's tough. Do it anyway. We got to get better at it, okay? And number 3, the most important one, be thankful and grateful for everything good in your lives. If you focus on that, if you focus on the gratitude piece and taking advantage of the good in your lives, not taking it for granted, and in changing your culture, your environment to be focused on the good and being grateful for the good, you're going to have a better, happier life. You're not going to be worried about what stranger on the internet can I dog on today. You're not even going to care anymore because your life is going to be consumed by this goodness and this gratitude. And it's going to spill over to other people's lives that are around you. And the contagious good is going to get spread like a pandemic because good can spread just as effectively as bad and as shitty negative stuff can. And I know it doesn't seem like that these days because all you get out there in the world is negative because that shit sells. But I promise you, good sells as well. Good is contagious as well. So think about that. That's the big 3. That's all I got, guys. Thank you again for listening. Every day I appreciate your feedback and everything. Keep it going. I couldn't be happier with your support and your love and your ride or die mentality that you guys continue to have for me. Even when you think I suck, or if you think I suck, you tell me I suck and you keep listening to give me the feedback so I can try to get better for you guys. So keep that up. Thank you again. I love you all. Stay strong.